Why are some nations wealthy while others remain poor? Adam Smith's The Wealth of Nations set out to answer this question not with moral preaching, but by examining how economies actually work. For Adam Smith, national wealth is not gold or silver. A nation's wealth depends on its capacity to produce goods and services, and how widely those goods are distributed. Wealth is not stored treasure, it is ongoing productive capacity. The central idea of the wealth of nations is the division of labor. Smith famously described a pin factory. A single worker performing every task produces very little. But when work is divided into specialized tasks, productivity multiplies. Division of labor increases skill, reduces wasted time, and enables mechanization. Its true limit is the size of the market. Smith did not view humans as purely selfish beings. He argued that humans possess a natural tendency to exchange. Rather than appealing to goodwill, people appeal to mutual benefit. Give me what I want, and you shall have what you want. Markets emerge from this repeated exchange. The most famous phrase, the invisible hand, is often misunderstood. Smith did not claim that people intend to promote the public good. He argued that self-interested actions within competitive markets can be coordinated into socially beneficial outcomes. The key is not intention, but structure. Adam Smith was not anti-government. He clearly identified essential roles for the state: national defense, justice and enforcement of contracts, public works and education. What he opposed were interventions that distort market incentives. The Wealth of Nations is not merely an economics textbook. It is a study of how systems channel human behavior. Modern capitalism, free trade, competition, and productivity all trace their intellectual roots to this work. Now let's explore how Adam Smith's ideas on division of labor and the invisible hand continue to shape modern capitalism, organizational decision-making, and everyday economic choices.
Let's kick things off with a hero, but not a person, an idea. An idea from way back in 1776, from a book that would basically write the rules for the modern world. Adam Smith's The Wealth of Nations isn't just some dusty old book. For a lot of people, it's the blueprint for everything we see around us today. But then you have a totally different world, one that's not about order and making things, but about pure chaos and fear. Like the world a soldier enters, a world where your only job, your one single purpose, is to survive, while someone else's is to make sure you don't. And now let's jump to a modern-day catastrophe. Not a war, just a single fire in a single building. And the result? An entire country's communication network just stops. Phones, internet, banking, poof, all gone in a flash. So what in the world connects these three things? An old-school economist, a modern soldier, and a nationwide blackout. They seem completely random, right? But believe it or not, they are all tangled together by one powerful, world-changing idea. And the answer is hiding in a simple observation made more than 200 years ago. Okay, so to unravel this whole thing, we've got to go back to the 18th century with Adam Smith. And it all starts with something surprisingly simple: making pins. This is where he laid out the one concept that would literally change everything. The big idea is called the division of labor. Now, it sounds a little academic, but it's actually super simple. Instead of one person doing the whole shebang from start to finish, you break the job down into tiny, specialized tasks, and you give each task to a different person. Sounds obvious, maybe, but its effect was revolutionary. So, Smith says, picture this. You've got one worker, totally on their own, trying to make a pin from scratch. They have to do every single step: draw the wire out, straighten it, cut it, sharpen it, put the head on, everything. On a good day, Smith figured that worker might, and I mean might, be able to produce a single pin. Just one. That's it. But then he talks about this small factory he went to. Just 10 guys worked there. But here was the trick. Each one had just one specific job. One guy drew the wire, another straightened it, a third cut it. You get the idea. They were a team of specialists. And the result? I mean, it's just staggering. Those 10 workers were pumping out 48,000 pins a day. That averages out to 4,800 pins per person. It wasn't just a little better, it was an absolute explosion of productivity. That, right there, is the power of specialization. Now, an idea this big was never going to stay in a little pin factory. It became the engine of the Industrial Revolution. It scaled up and literally built the world we live in now. I mean, think about the early days of the car. Henry Ford was the king, right? He used specialization to make one car, the Model T, really, really efficiently. But Alfred Sloan over at General Motors, he took the idea to a whole new level. He used it to create variety, different cars for different people. Specialization wasn't just about making more things anymore. It was about making more kinds of things. It's why we have the consumer choice we have today. But there's always a but, isn't there? This amazing engine of progress has a dark side. Every powerful idea casts a shadow, and the division of labor created new kinds of dangers, new vulnerabilities that Adam Smith probably could never have imagined. Let's go back to that telecom fire in Korea. That's the perfect and terrifying example. The system was so hyper-specialized, so efficient, that all the critical infrastructure ran through one single point. So when that one point failed, the whole network just collapsed. This is what we call systemic fragility. It's the hidden danger of a system where all your eggs are in one very efficient basket. When that basket drops, everything breaks. And it's not just systems that are fragile. There's a human cost, a huge one. The pin factory's efficiency turned into the mind-numbing assembly line, where people did the same tiny, boring task over and over and over again. As critics rightly point out, the system Smith celebrated was often incredibly brutal, turning people, even children, into little more than cogs in a giant, heartless machine. And that brings us right back around to the soldier. You could argue that modern warfare is the ultimate division of labor. The soldier is trained to be a specialist, a tool for killing, often completely detached from the bigger consequences of their actions. This kind of intense specialization can create a kind of moral blindness, a cold, neutral feeling in the middle of absolute horror. So here's the fundamental trade-off we're looking at. On one side, specialization gives us incredible efficiency, wealth, and mastery. But on the other, it makes our systems dangerously fragile and can lead to boredom, detachment, and even moral blindness. This is the central problem we have to deal with. Okay, so if over-specialization is the problem, what's the solution? Well, the answer might not come from economics at all, but from the world of finance, and a surprisingly simple piece of advice you've probably heard your whole life. Yep, that's the one. It's the core idea behind how we manage risk with our money. But what if we applied this idea not just to our investments, but to our skills, our careers, our entire lives? Financial advisors build something called a portfolio. It's just a diverse mix of assets. Some are risky, some are safe. The whole point is to make sure that if one part of the portfolio tanks, the others can keep you afloat. So, the big question is, can we build a personal portfolio for life itself? Here's a simple 3-step plan. First, diversify your financial assets. That's the classic portfolio. Second, diversify your skills. Don't be just a pin sharpener. Become a multi-skilled worker, someone who can adapt and pivot when the world changes. And third, diversify your whole life plan. Have a plan B and a plan C. Don't bet everything on one single, straight path. And you can see this idea in action everywhere. A smart company can map out its employees' skills to make sure the team isn't totally dependent on one person. And you can map out your own life, planning for school, for your career, for family, for retirement. It's all about building in resilience, building shock absorbers for your life. Which leaves us with a final thought to chew on. Specialization, the division of labor, it absolutely gave us the modern world we live in. But to navigate the risks and the fragilities of this same exact world, we might need to embrace its polar opposite, the power of not being a specialist, but a generalist, not digging one incredibly deep well, but knowing how to draw from many different streams.